Welcome to Cash Elapse. If you're here, it's because you appreciate the beautifully bizarre corners of the internet as much as we do. Before we dive into the strangest communities ever created, let's set the scene. The internet was supposed to make us efficient, connected, and informed. Instead, it gave us moth cults, traffic cone cosplay, and bean-hating support groups. And honestly, it's better that way. Tonight, we're going to explore the groups that prove humanity is weirder and more wonderful than any algorithm can predict. So grab a snack, get comfortable, and prepare to meet the most oddly specific clubs ever assembled. This is your official tour of the internet's strangest communities. Let's kick things off with 10 of the most unhinged online groups I could find. No, I didn't make these up. They are real, and they prove the internet has no bottom. Each one has an origin story, sacred rituals, and a crowd of believers who keep the weird alive in ways you almost have to admire. First up, there's a group called People Who Clap When the Plane Lands. Founded back in 2011 by a man who clapped so hard he sprained his own hand, these folks are the sports fans of air travel. They share triumphant clap stories like, "I clapped so early the flight attendant gave me side-eye," and debate when to start applauding, touchdown or taxi. That pinned debate has over 500 comments, ranging from passionate defenses of the mid-air clap to furious manifestos insisting clapping should never happen. Members post memes comparing plane clappers to football hooligans and even organize meetups in airports where they perform synchronized claps just to confuse other passengers. They are mostly travelers, retirees, and people who believe silence is a kind of defeat. So next time you hear an awkward cheer when the wheels touch the runway, remember, this is a coordinated effort. Then there's Moths Against Lamps. Born during the height of the Moth meme apocalypse in 2018, this group is part therapy, part support network, and part meme archive. Imagine a 12-step program for moths. They post daily affirmations like, "I will not fly to the lamp," and tragic memes of moths crying outside windows captioned, "One day we reunite." One popular thread asks, "What is your lamp story?" And the answers are a perfect blend of confession and parody, like, "I hovered outside the porch light for 3 hours, but I did not give in." Members share slogans like, "Stay strong, brethren," and "Today, I did not touch the glow." Most are meme collectors and self-aware obsessives who just enjoy the idea of resisting shiny things. Next, we have I Pretend I'm a Traffic Cone. This started as a college prank but quickly evolved into a full-blown movement. Their motto is, "Be bright, be silent, be conical." Every year they host cone conventions where dozens of people meet in parking lots, stand perfectly still, and block imaginary lanes of traffic for hours. They share photos captioned, "Holding this spot for humanity," and debate proper cone etiquette. One thread asked, "What's your longest cone session?" And someone claimed 14 hours without moving. Members are pranksters, minimalists, and people who think being ignored in plain sight is the purest form of art. Then there's People Who Hate Beans. Legend has it the group began after someone spilled a giant vat of chili at a county fair, scarring dozens of onlookers. Inside, members refer to beans as the devil's pellets. A pinned poll asks, "Which bean haunts you most?" and kidney beans always win. They post rants, bean warning memes, and cautionary tales about bean encounters. One user wrote, "Kidney beans taste like betrayal wrapped in a skin you can't chew," while another added, "Lima beans are why I don't trust green things." They are picky eaters united by a singular mission: eradicate beans from every meal on Earth. Moving on to Chicken Nugget Enthusiasts. This group was born on MySpace in 2009 and later migrated to Facebook to preach the Nugget gospel. Members post 3,000-word essays on optimal crunch, experiments with air fryer times, and photo shoots of golden nuggets on fancy plates. One viral debate asked, "If a nugget falls on the floor, do you still eat it?" And the argument lasted 3 weeks. Every Friday, they host Nugget Appreciation Night, where everyone shares their most photogenic nugget of the week. If you think that sounds extreme, remember that people have built entire careers reviewing hamburgers. Nuggets deserve their moment too. Then there's the Bored Button Survivors. This group is made up of people who spent entire summers clicking a random website that promised to cure boredom but mostly created it. Members share screenshots of old games, confessions like, "I lost 6 years to this button," and memes about the endless scroll of random activities. One popular post asks, "Which board button game ruined your productivity the most?" The comments read like a therapy session for the terminally distracted. If you've ever thought you were alone in wasting hours online, this group will make you feel understood. Next is people who yell at clouds. Founded by a retired weatherman with a lifelong grudge, this group is exactly what it sounds like. Members post photos of clouds with captions like, "Stop ruining my picnic," or "Get a real job." The UK chapter is especially active because, well, the weather there never takes a day off. One thread titled, "Clouds That Personally Offended Me," has hundreds of posts documenting everything from drizzle to catastrophic downpours. These are weather hobbyists who turn petty, and honestly, who can blame them? Then there's the Garlic Bread Appreciation Society. Created by an Italian grandmother and her grandson, this group treats garlic bread like a holy sacrament. Every week they host bread blessings where members post photos captioned, "Garlic bread is love. Garlic bread is life." They debate the ideal level of crisp and share stories of garlic bread healing broken hearts. One popular post simply read, "Garlic bread cured my breakup," and received thousands of likes. If you ever doubted the power of carbs, spend 10 minutes here. The cult of the gummy bear is perhaps the most mysterious. Nobody knows exactly who started it. Members say the first gummy bear was sentient. Weekly sermons begin with "Praise the Bear," and the group shares photos of gummy rituals and visions. A pinned question asks, "What color gummy speaks to your soul?" And the answers read like a candy horoscope. They are part tasting club, part secret society, all sweetness. And finally, the International Dad Joke Federation. Founded by a dad whose pun was so bad it made local news, this group is on a mission to spread groans worldwide. They host monthly dad joke championships where members submit their worst one-liners and vote for the ultimate dad joke master. Posts include gems like, "What do you call fake spaghetti? An impasta." The comments are full of crying emojis, reluctant applause, and confessions like, "I read this aloud and got booed at breakfast." They are the pun syndicate of the internet, and they will never stop. Every oddball group has a mainstream cousin, proving weirdness is just a reflection of all of us. So if you ever feel like your hobbies are strange, remember, somewhere there's a group of thousands celebrating exactly what you love. These communities thrive on passion, humor, and a shared sense of belonging. Whether you're clapping when the plane lands or praising the gummy bear, you're part of a global tapestry of delightful weirdness. And honestly, that's pretty beautiful. Let's get personal for a moment. I'll confess something I don't usually admit out loud. I once joined a Facebook group called Soup Memes. Yes, Soup Memes. At first, it was harmless, just a silly distraction to scroll through before bed. I thought it would be a casual affair, a place to post a photo of minestrone with the caption, "Hot and ready for drama," and then move on with my life. But the internet has a funny way of making you care about things you never planned to care about. Within a couple of weeks, I was checking notifications like it was a second job. Every ping set off this ridiculous rush of adrenaline. Who liked my chowder joke? Who commented on the noodle discourse? Why was this so important to me? I still don't fully know. Then came the night it all spiraled out of control. It was 2 a.m, normal people were asleep or watching reruns. I was hunched over my phone, squinting into the glow as I typed out a 4-paragraph defense of ramen's right to be called soup. Someone had posted, in all caps, "Ramen is just a noodle bowl. Get over yourselves." And like that, the floodgates opened. There were over 300 replies. People were linking academic articles. One person cited a French culinary dictionary. Another wrote an emotional comment that started with, "As a lifelong soup enthusiast, I can't let this stand." And instead of going to bed like a sane person, I was in the middle of it, quoting Wikipedia, trying to calm everyone down. It wasn't just an argument anymore. It was a digital battleground over broth. And then came the meltdown that cemented my role as an unwilling diplomat. Someone posted a meme boldly declaring that chowder was superior to bisque. You would have thought they'd announced that oxygen was optional. The comments were a riot of all-caps insults and gifs of boiling pots. One person said, "You don't deserve ladle privileges," and another replied, "This is why your croutons are always soggy." I'm not proud to admit that I laughed so hard I woke up my neighbor. Somehow, and I can't explain exactly how this happened, I became the mediator. the person everyone tagged when things got heated, pun fully intended. I was there with my phone in one hand and a stale breadstick in the other, typing out official statements about respect and culinary diversity. I spent an entire Saturday drafting community guidelines. They were 4 pages long. I had to make a rule that said no soup shaming unless it's cold tomato gazpacho, because even in a community built on acceptance, some things are unforgivable. But it didn't end there. When a rogue faction tried to start a splinter group called the Broth Elite, I was invited to host a peace summit on Zoom. Just imagine logging into a video call where 30 grown adults are passionately debating whether alphabet soup qualifies as literature. One person had a ladle propped on their shoulder like it was a battle flag. Another wore a lobster bib and insisted that chowder was the only soup worthy of respect. There was shouting, tears, and at least one declaration of broth-based war. And I was in the middle, sipping lukewarm coffee, wondering how this became my reality. Some nights I'd stay up approving memes, denying off-topic stew debates, and quietly questioning all my life choices. There was a surreal beauty to it though, because in that little corner of the internet, people cared. They cared deeply, absurdly, unapologetically about soup. And even though it sounds ridiculous, and it is, there was something profoundly human about it. I realized that the internet can turn even the simplest thing into a whole universe. A bowl of soup becomes an identity, a meme becomes a manifesto, a group of strangers becomes a tribe. And before you know it, you've built friendships with people you've never met, all because you agreed that clam chowder deserves more respect. That's the thing about belonging. You don't always get to choose where you find it. Sometimes you trip and fall into it face first, like a cartoon character landing in a big pot of stew. And even when you think you're above it all, a part of you still wants to check in to see who's posted the latest broth drama. So before you judge any of the groups we've explored today, before you roll your eyes at the Moths against lamps or the cult of the gummy bear, just remember this. We're all a few clicks away from becoming the administrator of our own bizarre obsession. And if you ever find yourself awake at 3 a.m. defending bisque to a stranger on the internet, know that you are not alone. You are part of the endless, chaotic, strangely comforting web of humanity that finds meaning in the most unexpected places. And honestly, that's pretty beautiful. Now it's your turn. I asked all of you to send me the strangest groups you've ever stumbled onto, and you did not disappoint. Honestly, part of me regrets asking because some of these are going to haunt my dreams, but in the best possible way. Let's start with a submission that genuinely made me do a double take. Someone sent me a group called the Flat Earth Cat Society. Yes, that's real. This is a community dedicated to the theory that cats, and only cats, can see the true edge of the world. According to the members, when your cat stares blankly into space, it's not because they're plotting your demise or thinking about knocking something off the counter. It's because they're observing the flat horizon and contemplating whether to walk right off it. One post simply said, "My tabby gazed into the abyss, and the abyss was disappointingly flat." I don't know what to do with this information, but it feels important. Another person introduced me to a group called Bananas for Scale. This one has a deceptively simple premise. If you upload a photo, there must be a banana included somewhere for reference. That's it. It doesn't matter if you're sharing a picture of a mountain or your new couch, banana required. One member posted a photo of the Eiffel Tower with a single banana photoshopped into the sky like a giant yellow moon. The caption read, "Scale provided." Honestly, I respect the commitment to a bit. And then there's I Yell at My Plants, possibly the most therapeutic group I've ever seen. Here, people upload videos of themselves giving passionate motivational speeches to their houseplants. I'm talking full-volume pep talks delivered with the intensity of a football coach during halftime. One video featured a woman standing in front of her ficus shouting, "You are strong, you are growing every day, photosynthesize like your life depends on it." And the comments were full of people saying, "I tried this and my fern finally sprouted a new leaf." If yelling works, who am I to question it? But you didn't stop there. Someone sent me a group called the Chair Enthusiasts Collective. It's exactly what it sounds like. Thousands of people posting photos of chairs. Antique chairs, office chairs, lawn chairs. If you can sit on it, they love it. The most popular post was just a caption that said, "A chair so good it healed my back pain and my soul." Over 8,000 likes. Somewhere out there, someone is living their best life because of a particularly ergonomic seat. Another favorite was Competitive Jigsaw Puzzle Assembly. This is a group where people time themselves completing enormous puzzles, then post their records. They have categories, rankings, and even monthly tournaments. One person shared that they finished a 5,000-piece puzzle of a field of daisies in under 40 hours. I can't decide if that's inspiring or terrifying. Maybe both. And finally, someone submitted a group called the Society for the Appreciation of Extremely Specific Weather Events. Every day, members post photos of things like slightly unusual fog, the tiniest hail you've ever seen, or a rainbow that didn't fully commit. One post just said, "Partial rainbow, half proud of it." The comments were full of encouragement, like, "It may be small, but it tried." I love that level of gentle support for the sky. There's something wonderful about knowing you're not alone in your odd habits, that no matter how weird you think you are, there are thousands of people out there who understand, who get it, who will cheer you on while you yell at your succulent or rank chairs on a 10-point scale. So thank you for sharing your weird with me. Keep sending these gems because this is the content that proves the internet is a shared fever dream we're all living together. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. All right, let's get serious for a moment. We need to talk about the moth lamp phenomenon. If you somehow missed it, let me set the scene. It all started in the summer of 2018 when a single image appeared on Reddit. Just a photo of a moth, wings slightly ragged, eyes wide and glassy, staring up at a basic porch lamp like it was the answer to every question it had ever asked itself. Nobody could have predicted what happened next. That image became an instant cultural touchstone. Within hours, people were editing it into every meme format imaginable. The moth was inserted into famous movie posters. It was photoshopped hovering over the lamp like some kind of tragic Shakespearean hero. There were captions like, "What is a life without lamp?" and "I will find you, my glowing love." It was as if the entire internet simultaneously recognized that feeling. The unstoppable craving for something you know is probably a terrible idea. Within days, the moth's longing face was everywhere. News sites covered it, t-shirts were printed, Etsy shops sold mugs that said, "I am just a moth, forever seeking the lamp." And the reason it resonated was simple. We all have that one lamp in our lives, that thing we know we shouldn't want, but we do anyway. For some people, it's junk food. For others, it's checking their ex's Instagram at 3 in the morning. For the moth, it was literally a porch light, pure incandescent temptation. But the story doesn't end with a few viral memes. Like all great internet obsessions, it evolved into a full-fledged community, a group dedicated to the moth's plight and its hilarious symbolism. Inside, it's part support group, part shrine, part comedy club. Members call themselves the Luminous Order. They share lamp confessionals, which are exactly what they sound like. Short, emotional posts where they admit they couldn't resist the glow. One person wrote, "I promised my family I was done, but last night I spent 3 hours pressed against the kitchen light. I have no regrets." Another posted, "I stayed strong for 7 days, but then the porch lamp came on. I blacked out. Next thing I knew, I was fluttering against the screen door." But it's not just confessionals. They have daily pledges to resist the glow. Every morning, members post things like, "Today, I will not fly to the lamp. I will stay in the shadows." Sometimes they fail, and that's okay because the group is surprisingly compassionate about relapse. They have a saying, "One day at a time, one bulb at a time." There's also an entire gallery of moth fan art. Some of it is adorable, like cartoons of a moth hugging a lamp. Some of it is oddly profound. I saw one piece that looked like a Renaissance painting. A majestic moth, wings outstretched, illuminated by a single candle. The caption said, "The Eternal Yearning." It was ridiculous and genuinely moving all at once. And of course there are the poems. My favorite was just 4 lines. "Lamp is life, lamp is love, lamp is doom, I flutter anyway." If you ever doubt the internet's ability to turn anything into a collective obsession, remember that people spent actual hours composing moth lamp poetry. The thing I love most about this phenomenon is how relatable it is. Because at the end of the day, everyone has a lamp. That one thing that glows just bright enough to make you forget every sensible reason to walk away. Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a bad habit, and sometimes, if you're a literal moth, it's just a dusty light bulb hanging above a doorway. But no matter how small or silly it seems, it's a reminder that we're all driven by our own peculiar cravings. So if you ever catch yourself drawn to something you know isn't great for you, just think of that little moth. Think of the thousands of people online who saw its wide, yearning eyes and said, "Same." Because sometimes the most ridiculous temptations are also the most human. And maybe, just maybe, it's okay to flutter toward them once in a while, if only to remind yourself you're alive. All right, time to test your instincts with a little game I like to call Real or Fake. Here's how it works. I'm gonna read out a list of group names, and you have to guess whether each one is a real online community or something I completely made up in the middle of the night. I promise some of these will sound too absurd to be true, but that's the internet for you. Ready? Let's begin. First up, men who dress as cacti. Take a second to think about it. Is it real? Yes, it absolutely is. This is a group where men put on elaborate cactus costumes and share photos of themselves posing stoically in front yards and public parks. Their mission statement is, quote, to embody the spirit of the desert. I respect it. Next, the League of Potato Enthusiasts. Is this real or fake? It's real. Thousands of members swapping photos of potatoes they've grown, cooked, or just admire from a distance. One of their most popular threads was titled, "Which potato best represents your personality?" And no, I still haven't decided if I'm more of a Yukon Gold or a fingerling. How about this one? Society for the Preservation of Leftover Pizza Crusts. Think about it carefully. It sounds plausible, right? But this one is fake, at least for now. And honestly, it probably should exist. If anyone wants to start it, I'll be your first member. Next, people who identify as refrigerators. Real or fake? Believe it or not, this one is real. The group is half performance art and half sincere community. Members post selfies with captions like, "Feeling frosty today," and "Sometimes I just need to shut my door and chill." It's strangely wholesome. Here's another. International Confederation of Spoon Collectors. Real? Absolutely. This group has been around for years with members who own thousands of collectible spoons from all over the world. They hold virtual show and tells where they display spoons commemorating everything from state fairs to royal weddings. If you think that sounds boring, you've clearly never heard someone passionately describe the curvature of a limited edition souvenir spoon.
All right, let's keep going. Next up, the Brotherhood of Dramatic Pigeons. Real or fake?
This one is fake, though if it were real, I would join immediately. Imagine hundreds of people posting videos of pigeons striking theatrical poses. If you ever see that group pop up, you'll know I finally made it happen. Next, the Sock Puppet Political Action Committee. Sounds suspicious, doesn't it? It's fake. But again, this feels like something that's only one viral tweet away from existing. How about the International Order of Lawn Flamingo Arrangers? Real or fake? It's real. This group is dedicated to the art of arranging plastic flamingos in elaborate formations. They hold competitions, share landscaping tips, and even offer templates for flamingo displays you can recreate at home. I had no idea plastic birds could be such a big deal, but here we are. Next, the Coalition for Ethical Sandwich Cutting. Real or fake? This one is fake, though I wish it weren't. Imagine a place where people could finally settle the age-old argument, diagonal or straight down the middle. And finally, the Global Alliance of People Who Clap When the Movie Ends. Real. Yes, this is an actual group. Their tagline is, "Because some stories deserve applause, even if nobody can hear it over the credits." All right, tally up your guesses. If you got 3 or more right, congratulations, you're officially too deep in the internet. But let's be honest, that's why you're here, because when it comes to strange online communities, you are among friends. And if you didn't do so well, don't worry. The internet is vast and full of surprises. By this time next week, you'll probably discover a group that makes all of these sound completely reasonable. That's just how it works. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to answer a few of the questions you sent in. Honestly, I love this part of the show because it proves I'm not the only person who stays up way too late thinking about why a moth would risk everything for a lamp. First question, do you ever regret joining weird online groups? And the answer is absolutely not. I regret many things in life. I regret not learning how to cook before adulthood. I regret every time I tried to cut my own bangs. I even regret trusting an email from a Nigerian prince in 2006. But joining the Soup Memes group? No, not for a second. That was one of the purest experiences I've ever had online. Even if it cost me several nights of sleep and a tiny piece of my dignity, it was worth it, because nothing teaches you about the human spirit like moderating a debate over whether gazpacho counts as soup. Second question, what's the strangest group you've ever encountered? This one is tough because the competition is fierce. There was the group dedicated to collecting photos of lost flip-flops in public spaces. There was another group where people pretend to be traffic cones in parking lots for hours at a time. But if I have to pick, I think the cult of the gummy bear wins the crown. Anytime you log in and see thousands of people posting gummy bear devotionals and referring to a red gelatin candy as our glorious leader, you know you're in the deep end of the internet pool. And I say that with complete respect. I would attend a gummy bear sermon if they'd let me. Third question. Why do you think these groups exist? This is my favorite question because it gets to the heart of what makes all of this so fascinating. I think these groups exist because everyone, everywhere wants to feel like they belong, even if it's to something completely ridiculous, maybe especially if it's ridiculous. When you join a community dedicated to clapping when the plane lands or yelling at your houseplants, you're saying, I see you, I get it. I am also a little bit unhinged, and that's okay. It's comforting to know there are other people out there who share your exact brand of weird. Because at the end of the day, we're all just looking for connection, even if it's over soup memes or plastic flamingos. And that's what I love most about making this show. It reminds me that no matter how strange things get, and they do get strange, there's always a place where you fit in. Somewhere out there, there's a group of people who will welcome you with open arms and 1,000 inside jokes about gummy bears or bisque. And honestly, I think that's kind of beautiful. So thank you for coming along on this tour of internet oddities. Thank you for proving that curiosity and humor are alive and well. If you enjoyed this, I'd love for you to subscribe to Cache of Laughs, where we celebrate all the wonderful corners of the web that most people never think to explore. And if you found a group stranger than any I've mentioned tonight, and I know some of you have, send it my way, because you know I'm going to join it, and then I'm going to tell everyone about it. Until next time, remember, you are never alone in your weirdness. There's always a community waiting to welcome you home, even if that home is a Facebook group dedicated to screaming motivational slogans at potted plants. That's it for this episode of Cache of Laughs. If you've made it all the way to the end, congratulations! You've officially unlocked a secret group I'm founding, and trust me, you're already qualified to join. We're called People Who Desperately Miss Raw, Real Comedy. Membership requirements are pretty simple. Number 1, you must have laughed at least once today, even if it was a confused, half-silent chuckle you tried to cover with a cough. Number 2, you must have groaned at least once today, probably when I read that dad joke about impasta. And number 3, you must hold the firm belief that the internet was a catastrophic accident, but one that occasionally creates something so ridiculous, so bizarre, so unintentionally beautiful, you can't help but love it anyway. Our first official meeting will be held in an abandoned Yahoo chat room. Bring a potluck of questionable memes, outdated reaction GIFs, and a PowerPoint presentation explaining why your favorite internet group deserves its own documentary. Bonus points if you show up wearing a traffic cone on your head. It's not required, but it will be appreciated. Before you go, I want to thank you for spending your time here exploring the strangest corners of the web with me. It means a lot to know there are people out there who share this particular brand of curiosity and are willing to embrace it without apology. Because no matter how chaotic or embarrassing it gets, I truly believe there's something valuable about celebrating the weird. It reminds us that behind every profile picture and every screen name, there's a real person who just wants to feel connected. And speaking of connection, next week we're going to take it up a notch. We'll be diving headfirst into the history of the most infamous internet hoaxes ever unleashed on an unsuspecting public. From the Momo challenge that convinced half the world their kids were in danger, to the time everyone genuinely believed Nicolas Cage might be a centuries-old vampire. Yes, really. We'll unpack the stories, the panic, and the hilarious aftermath when the truth finally came out. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss a single episode. And if you know someone who would love this show, someone who understands the joy of discovering a gummy bear cult at 2 a.m, send this video to them. Because somewhere out there, a gummy bear cult is still waiting to recruit you, and they're probably saving a special seat right next to the lamp. Thanks again for watching Cache of Laughs. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember the internet might be a shared fever dream, but it's ours.